Well, 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 what do we have here today? Well, I guess there's only one way we'll find out, so let me grab my trusty knife and then we can get this box opened up and see what is waiting for us inside. So first of all, we need to make one gentle cut down the middle, being very careful not to cut too deep. And then get the side here. And the other side. Okay, and I think just need to cut a little bit more down the middle. Oops. There we are. Okay, so let's have a look inside and see what we've got. So first of all, lots of big, thick bubble wrap. Really does make a lovely crinkle sound. I don't want to get distracted by this too much, so I'll just put this to the side for now. So what else do we have in the box? It looks like a Super Nintendo wrapped in some smaller bubble wrap. Just got you stuck to the back there. Just get you off, put you back in the box. Is there anything else in the box? No, just bubble wrap. Okay, so we'll put you to the side for now, and we'll get you unwrapped. So we'll just undo this piece of sellotape, and it looks like there's another piece here, but you'll just have to bear with me one moment whilst I indulge myself and pop some of this bubble wrap. Okay, apologies for that, I just could not resist. So let's get you unwrapped and have a proper look at you. Oh, wow. You are very, very, very mucky. Yeah, you're absolutely caked in some kind of muck. So let's get this bubble wrap moved out of the way and get you set down. So we'll have a proper look at you in a second, but I'm just going to indulge myself a little bit more and pop some more bubbles first. Okay, so that's it for now with the bubble wrap. I've moved it well out of reach so I can give you my full and undivided attention. So on closer inspection, you do seem to be incredibly mucky around the edges, but very clean on the bottom, so it's a bit of a mystery as to how you've got in such a state. And you're shedding some little bits of muck on the table here, but not to where I can just wipe this away. It seems that cosmetically you've obviously seen better days, but I guess what we need to do now is to see whether you are in working condition at all. So we'll get you hooked up to the telly, get you some power, and we'll see if you work. Okay, so we'll get the video output in first. And now the power lead. And we're good to go. So to test you out, we're going to use Super Mario World, which I recently purchased from eBay. The cartridge itself, as you can see from the label, isn't in great shape, but it does definitely work. Okay, so pop you in there. Okay, so definitely have power. Do we have a signal? No is the answer, sadly. So what we're going to have to do now then is pop the cartridge out, and we're going to have to open you up and see if we can work out what the issue is. Obviously whilst we're at it, I'll give you a nice soapy bath and get you cleaned up and looking nice. First things first though, I'm going to have to take the screws out of the bottom of your case. And to do that, I need to use this specialised game bit, which I've just popped into this adapter. The reason I need the adapter is that I'm going to be using this ratchet to undo the screws. It's not the most practical tool for the job, but I do really enjoy the noise that it makes. Okay, so the first screw, and the second, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and the sixth. Okay, so hopefully these should just pop out as I turn you over. So there's one. And another. And there's three. Okay, so the other three is still stuck in there. No, there's another one. Okay, so I definitely heard one more drop. So what's happening with this last one? It should just drop out if I pull on the case slightly. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and we're in. Okay, so that's the last screw. Don't want to lose you. Okay, so your inside's looking remarkably clean considering how dirty your outside was. So in order to give you a nice bath, we first need to remove all your internal components. So start with this controller port. So just disconnect the ribbon and pop that to the side for now. And then going to take these screws out that are attaching your motherboard to the bottom of your case. So that's a power switch. Definitely seems in working order, but we need to take that off now and pop it to the side. So just take these screws out. And disconnect. Gently pull on this cable, and there we are. So pop you to the side, keep you safe for now. Okay, so I'm just going to take out your spring mechanism, which helps eject the games. Just take this out carefully. I don't want to lose that spring, so I'll just pop you on there for now and pop you to the side, and then we'll just remove the remainder of the screws holding your motherboard into the bottom of the case. Right, so this should be the final screw holding your motherboard in place. So should just be able to lift this out nice and easy. Yeah, fantastic. Just get this last screw out if it wants to come out and put this safe with the others. Right then, so we'll have a proper look at the motherboard in more detail shortly, but just a quick visual inspection. I can't see any obvious signs of damage or corrosion. So as I say, we'll have a proper look at your motherboard shortly, but just need to remove these bits of shielding. So I'll start with this one here, which should come away if I just give a very gentle tug on this cartridge slot here. Before I remove the other piece of shielding from your motherboard, I just spotted that I forgot to take these threaded lugs from out of the bottom of your case, which I thought I'd better do now before I forget and potentially end up losing them. So my trusty tweezers will come in handy here. So there's the first lug, and there's the second. Okay, and there's a piece of fluff in there as well, which I'm not quite sure where that came from, but I'll just pop it in the dish to the side, and I'll keep that safe for you. There we are. Oh, there's a little bit more here. This must be its kid. So I was working on the motherboard. I've got a little bit distracted here, but I think it's probably a good idea to strip down the top part of your case. So I'm just going to pop out the buttons first. So this is the reset button. Pop that there for now. And then the eject button. Quite stiff. Give that a gentle prod, and we should have that out now. Yep, there we are. So I just need to undo this screw here, which holds the arm in place, which holds cartridges in place when you're powered on. So just pop that washer to the side. Just pull this out, if I can get a grip of it. Come on, come on. There we go. So now I just need to pop these tabs off, which hold the top fascia plate in place. I do need to be quite firm with these, but I'll obviously be as gentle as I can be. They do make quite a satisfying popping noise. Okay, so I think that's it. Should just be able to gently pry that off. Oops. And there we go. Okay, so that's the cover for the power button and the power button itself. I'll just pop you safe for now. Okay, so there are a couple of loose bits flapping around here, so I need to be very careful. Not to drop anything. Yeah, sorry about that. I will try and be a little bit more careful moving forward. And just having a look at the inside of the top part of your case. And on the top here, other than the outer bits with all the muck on, you're looking in pretty decent shape. Okay, so let's put all these pieces together and kept safe. Obviously not forgetting your fluff. And then we can get back to the motherboard. So I'm just going to remove the screws for this shielding. So we have a few on the bottom here. I'm not sure what that is. That's the washer from the cartridge arm. We'll just pop them in there for now, keep them safe. Okay, so that's all the screws on the bottom. Just this one on the side that we need to undo. And then this piece of shielding should just pop off. Right, so looking at your motherboard in a bit more detail, there are no obvious signs of corrosion or damage or anything like that. So I will give your motherboard a nice clean with some isopropyl alcohol in a bit, but for now I'm going to use some movie magic to clear this table and get ready to give you a nice soapy bath. Yeah, silly me, I almost forgot about the fascia for the controller port. So I just need to snap the fascia away from this daughter board. And I'm not sure I needed to pull that through actually, but never mind. So I've got my trusty tweezers here, which should make this job a little bit easier. Just need to pry ever so gently, get these tabs away, so they should just with a little bit of force snap away from the controller port itself. And I will just tuck this ribbon cable back in there for now to avoid it getting damaged. Right then, it's bath time. So I'm going to use this washing up liquid to get the water nice and soapy for you so it can give you a nice thorough clean. So the water is just ever so slightly warm, but not too hot, so don't worry. Get plenty in there, pardon you. To mix the washing up liquid into the water, I'm going to be using this old vintage whisk. In a similar fashion to the ratchet, maybe not the most appropriate tool for the job, but again I just really enjoy the sound that it makes. so we've worked up a few suds with the whisk, so we can drop the top part of your casing first. We'll have to put it in lengthwise. And then this piece. And you. 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 So to start off with, I'm going to be cleaning you with this brush, which is quite firm in terms of its bristles, but I think it will give you a really good clean. Right then, let's get scrubbing. So, I've just swapped over to the toothbrush for this bit just to get into those nooks and crannies to make sure I get all the muck out. So already looking a lot better. Just give you a quick rinse. So now we've got rid of all the muck, we can definitely see that there is some yellowing to the outer parts of the top part of your case, which isn't a problem because we can go through a process called Retrobrighting, which will hopefully remove the yellowing and get your plastic looking nice and bright and almost brand new. I'll just get these last little bits of muck that have escaped me so far. Okay, so I think that's the top part of your case done, so I'll put this to the side and we'll get on cleaning the other parts. case, so the last part we need to clean now is the bottom part of your case. Done now, so just give that a quick rinse and put that to the side. Just get these last couple of little bits, so this little door thing and then the cover for the power button. So that's you all clean and looking much, much better. So whilst you dry off and we get ready to do some retrobrighting, I'm just going to indulge myself, play with these soapy gloves. So I've probably indulged myself for long enough with these soapy glove sounds. I think it's time I have a bit of a clean up and we take a look at you now you're nice and clean. So you are looking much, much better now we've managed to clean that muck off. But there is a lot of yellowing on some of the plastic parts of your case. So we're going to use this cream peroxide to undergo a process called retrobrighting. The retrobrighting process requires hydrogen peroxide and UV light. And UV light activates the hydrogen peroxide and helps remove the yellowing from old ABS plastics like that of your case. So just get rid of that sellotape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just dunk a big glob of this cream into this container, brush it onto your parts, and then wrap your parts with cling film. Now it is incredibly viscous and gloopy is this cream, so I'm just giving it a bit of a shake. See if it becomes a little bit easier to get out. So it's really, really, really tough to get out this stuff. I think that'll be enough for now. To apply the cream to your yellowed parts, I'm going to be using this extremely soft bristled brush. Once we've got a good amount of the cream on those parts, as I say, we'll wrap them in cling film and then pop them in a box with a UV lamp, which would hopefully, or should hopefully, reverse any yellowing and get you back to pretty much as good as new. So let's get to applying the cream. So I'm just going to take the brush, get a decent amount of cream on it, and then just dab it into any of the affected areas. So I want to get a decent coverage. Okay, just a bit more. I think what might be a good idea here actually is if I get the cling film out and pop the piece on top of the cling film, it'll be much less of a messy job. I don't need to be quite as careful because we're going to be wrapping the cling film around the bottom of your case anyway, so any that kind of spills over, once we wrap the cling film around, will be applied to the plastic. So just get a nice big glob and then just apply that around the sides. As I say, if we get any on the cling film, it's not too big a problem because when we wrap it round, like I say, it will be kind of on the part anyway. So as I touched on briefly earlier, the cling film just helps the cream not to dry up or evaporate and helps keep that hydrogen peroxide in contact with these yellowed parts of the plastic. And that is important because, as I mentioned, the UV light reacts to the hydrogen peroxide, so a good coverage is quite important, and the cling film just helps everything keep in place, and it stops it being an incredibly messy job as well. So now it's just a case of making sure that we wrap the cling film nice and tight around the bottom of your case to make sure that the cream makes good contact with those yellowed spots on this particular part of your case. Okay, so just pack that in nice and tight. So I think we've got a good coverage because I can feel the squishiness of the cream under the cling film as I'm packing around the side. Okay, so that's all good. I can put you to the side. Okay, so get another piece of cling film set out and we'll do the top part of your case now. But I seem to have run out of cream in my little pot, so squeeze another good glob out. So it is thankfully coming out a little bit easier than the first squeeze. So I'll get the brush and we'll dunk it in and get a nice glob of cream. And we'll spread that over the top. So as we can see, the yellowing is only really on the outer parts of the top of your case, which kind of makes sense because as I understand it, and I'm not an expert by any means, but as I understand it, the yellowing occurs with sunlight and it only really affects older ABS plastics. So it kind of makes sense that these would be the parts that are more exposed or have been exposed to sunlight over your lifetime. So I'm going to make sure I get a nice thick coverage on this top part, and then I'm going to get the cling film, because I can't flip this piece over because that front fascia is loose, so I'm going to have to drape the cling film over the top of you. Just make sure that that's fairly tight and compressing the cream in all the right places. And then now what I can do is just flip you over and we can apply the cream around the edges now. Okay, so getting a good coverage all around the side of your case now. And as with the bottom of your case, just need to pack you in nice and tight with the cling film. Okay, so just this last side now. Just pull this corner up. Just try and tuck that in a little bit just to get a nice and tight fit. Okay, so that's looking okay. Just need to straighten this bit up. It's just bunched a little bit around these parts, but that's looking pretty good. So that's the top done. So next is the little thing that goes around the power button. So as we can see, there's only ever so slightly yellowing on this kind of protruding ring. So I don't really need too much cream on there, and then it's just a case of wrapping the cling film around. Okay, so that one was nice and easy. So now we're going to do the fascia plate for the control ports, and I'm just being a little bit lazy here. Rather than using the port, I'm just straight applying a few dabs of cream directly on, and then I'll use the brush to get them spread out. Okay, so as with the other parts, we just want a nice even coverage, and then we can turn that around onto the cling film. And just try and roll this up almost like a cigar. Just making sure that the front part is nice and tight, and then just tuck these little bits in at the back. So this bit's looking pretty much good to go, and all the other bits are wrapped. So I think it's time now to get the big box and the UV lamp. So this is where I'm going to be putting your pieces to get the UV treatment. So I've popped a little bit of tin foil on the bottom, and as you can see, there are a few mirrors around the edge. Now the reason for that, as you'll see shortly, is that the UV lamp, I've just cut a hole out of the lid, so the light is going to be bouncing straight down. So my hope is, and I've not tested this yet, is that the mirrors will help reflect some of that UV light around the edge. So you can see there's the lamp just cut into the top of the box. So let's get that plugged in and have a look inside. Okay, so as you can see, we can see the reflection of the sides of your pieces here. So my hope is that the UV light will reflect off those and get those side bits that wouldn't necessarily get any direct light. So the retrobrighting process should take around about 24 hours. So in the meantime, whilst the UV light does its thing, I think it's time to crack out the alcohol. So I'll be pouring you out a shot in this glass, but as my homemade label suggests, this alcohol is not for drinking. Instead, I'll be using it with this toothbrush to give your motherboard and your electronics a good scrub, with special attention paid to the contacts where the cartridge goes in, which I'm hoping will fix the no signal issue that we experienced earlier. I'm going to pour you out a nice big measure in this glass. Ching ching. So this part of the process could be a little bit messy. So I'm just going to bring out this plastic tray for the motherboard and just hopefully contain any mess that we make. So it's got your drink there. And for cleaning the motherboard, so I'm going to be using a toothbrush, but this is a slightly different one that we used earlier for scrubbing your parts. This is much more soft bristled, so it shouldn't cause any damage to your circuitry. But before we get busy with the brush, I'm going to use this little lens cleaning duster blower thing just to see if we can get any bits of dust or debris or any little bits that might be stuck on the board first. Oh, so there's one straight off the bat there. So it's definitely moving some bits around. There's another. Get them off. Bit of a force, this little squeezy thing. Okay, so the top part's looking fairly dust free. Just give the bottom side a quick blow as well. Okay. Now we've got all the dust off, I'll give this a nice scrub. So starting with these contacts, we'll just give those chips a bit of a clean as well. Say, the top of your motherboard is looking fairly clean anyway, but whilst we've got it out, we may as well give it a nice scrub and make sure it's absolutely spick and span. So just get those connectors there. So I bet you've not had a deep clean like this for a long time, if at all. So relax and enjoy. Okay, so I'm just going to clean these connectors out because obviously I couldn't submerge these into the soap bath earlier. Just give them a quick scrub. Make sure they're clean. And just get these connectors at the side. Okay, so the underside of your board again, looking pretty decent, Nick. But whilst we're here, we'll give it a nice scrub with the brush and the alcohol. Okay, get right in that connector there, give it a good scrub. Okay, so this is looking really nice and shiny now. Lovely. Okay, so yeah, just one last look at the top of your motherboard. Everything's looking nice and clean. So this is the cartridge connector, and I want to pay special attention to this piece in particular because I have a suspicion it may be part of the reason why we weren't getting a signal earlier. Okay, so before we get busy with the brush again, let's get the little squeezy blowy thing out and just see if there's any bits of dust or debris in here. So there are some little flecks of dust coming out, so we're getting something out at least. So it's quite difficult to aim this directly into the cavity, but I think I'm hitting it, so let's get a bit of alcohol on the brush and give it a good scrub. So I want to get right into those connectors, just in case there's any bits of muck or debris or corrosion on there. And just give the side a little bit of a clean as well, why not? Okay, so I'll get the top part of the connectors as well. I want to get right in there and give it a good thorough clean. Okay, yeah, so to get right in there, I think I need to turn the brush around this way. I can get right in and get the bristles on those connectors. Okay, so that's looking okay now. So put that to the side. Right, so obviously we couldn't dunk your controller port into the soap bath along with the other bits of plastic. And as you can see, it's still carrying a little bit of that original muck from earlier. So hopefully this alcohol and the brush will just be able to get those bits off and also give those connectors inside a little bit of a clean as well. Okay, so just give that a nice scrub. And whilst we're here, we may as well give the circuits a bit of a treatment as well. Right, let's have a look at you then. Lovely, looking absolutely spick and span, so we can put you to the side for now, and then we can give it 24 hours, by which time, hopefully, the retrobrighting process will have finished. Right, it's 24 hours later, the retrobrighting has finished, and I've taken the pieces out of the tub, so let's have a look. Okay, so I don't know about you, but I am very pleased with those results. So all that's left for us to do now is to get you back together. So we'll start with this front fascia plate on the controller ports. That just snapped in nice and easy. So we can put you to the side for now, and then we can get the rest of your case back together. Okay, just get these in focus. There we go. Okay, so we'll get the top part of your case done. Okay, so get the little LED cover in first, and then we can pop this down on top. I'll get the reset button in, and drop the power button in there. And this little cover, get that on top too. Okay, so that moves nice and freely, all good. Okay, so this one's going to be a bit tricky. I can't quite remember how this came out. I know the spring goes on here, and then it's obviously got to get some kind of tension to remain open. So I think if I just trap the spring, end of the spring under this, that should give it the tension that we need. Okay, so that seems to be okay. Okay, so let's get this reset button in. So it's a bit of a tight fit, this one. So just give it a bit of a wiggle. There we go. Okay, so that's moving nice and freely. So we can pop this over now. Okay, so I just need to get this locking arm back in place. So yep, that's in position. So that's a washer, and I think it was this screw here. Okay, so once this is tightened, the top part of your case is done. That should do it. Okay, so now to the bottom part of your case. So I think the first thing we need to do is drop these little thread inserts back in position, and then we can look at getting your motherboard back in. Okay, so before we do that, actually, what we do need to do is to get the shielding back on and the rest of your cartridge. Easy to do this outside of your case. Okay, so that's nice and secure. So just need to get the top part of the shielding on. So just gently get this into position, and then we can screw it in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There we are. Looking good. Right then, let's get you dropped back in, and we'll get you secured in. Get these screws in. 2. Okay, just flip you around. Get one more in there, one more in there, another in there. Right, so get the power switch connected up. So just gently pop that in there. Yep, nice and secure. Position is here, and we'll get this secured. So there's one screw, and the second. Right then, so again, spring. I think I remember how this one works. Yes, that's going to slide off if I'm not careful. So I need to bend this around, get the tension in the spring. I think that's it. There we are. Perfect. Just get that nice and secure on the side. Brill. Okay, so we'll get your controller ports plugged in. So just got to connect this ribbon cable. Get a firm connection there. And then that just drops in there. Lovely. Right, now the top. Just drop that on. Right, so you are looking absolutely beautiful now, but we just need to check if your buttons are working as they should. Okay, so I think it's safe to say that your buttons are working marvellously. So what we need to do now is get these screws in on the back, so I'm just going to get out the trusty ratchet. sound. Okay, so try and fish these screws out from this magnetic bowl. I'll use these tweezers, that might help. Just drop them in. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so last 2. And the last one. Okay, so that's it. And once again, I must say, you are looking absolutely beautiful. But what we do need to do now is to test whether we've fixed the issue with the no video output. So I bought a couple of old Super Famicom controllers from eBay to help us test this out, and you can see how aged and yellow they are compared to you. You look absolutely brand new in comparison. Okay, so first of all, connect the multi-out and the power cable. Let's get that in there. Let's move those leads out of the way. Get you nice and settled, and let's pop in the Super Mario game. And the controller. And now the moment of truth. Let's flick on the power, see what we get. Fantastic. Success. Well, I can safely say I've never been as happy to hear that opening coin ting as I was then. Okay, so now that everything's fixed, I think it would be very rude of us not to have a quick game. Okay, so let's just have a quick mess around in Yoshi's house. Okay, so straight away there seems to be a little bit of an issue with this controller. The start and select buttons don't seem to work. Some of the face buttons do, but the D-pad... yeah, the D-pad seems to work when it wants to work, which is not ideal, especially in a game like Mario. I suppose any game really. So less than ideal, but I think this is a problem for another time. Okay, so I think it's safe to assume that this controller will be making a future appearance on the channel. But we'll put that to the side for now. So I did buy 2 controllers, so let's just test out the other one and just see if this one has any issues as well. Okay then, so let's try this one out. Okay, so that's promising. Start works. Okay, the D-pad's working brilliantly. And all the buttons seem to be working. Okay, so now we have a working controller. Let's have a proper test. See if everything's working correctly. Right, so this feels absolutely perfect. No problems with this controller whatsoever. Start seems to be working fine. Yep, I'm not particularly good at this game, but the controller's not causing me any issues, so all good. Oops. Okay, a bit of a panic there, but everything's good. So let's just have a quick look back and see what we've done. So this is you before your makeover. Absolutely caked in muck, yellowed and looking very much worse for wear. But this is you now, looking absolutely marvellous. and pretty much brand spanking new. It's been an absolute pleasure working on you today, and I hope that you are as pleased with the results as I am.